Lord. Welcome to the political perspective. I am Reggie. This is B. I gotta get myself together. B exclamation point.
Reggie.
3 exclamation point.
Exactly.
B exclamation.
Yes.
B3 exclamation point. I'm here.
Yes. B3 exclamation points. Reggie, aka Speed and Bullet. If you are not political, you are not. You do not have a perspective. Whew, that was rough.
Right. You made it.
Oh man, let's get into it. So the first thing, obviously, the government shutdown has ended. If you had the pleasure of watching Donald Trump's speech last night, where he, thanked himself a million times and
yes.
just talked trash about everything and everybody, and told umpteen amounts of lies and misinformation and just totally like bizarre stuff. But what the end of the government shutdown means, it means that folks' healthcare insurance is about to go up. So one of the reasons why the government was shut down is because the Democrats were holding off on funding the government until they got some guarantees that the Affordable Care Act subsidies that were signed, and these subsidies were extended every year since COVID. So because of COVID, obviously the world was what it was. We all lived through it. Unfortunately, some people didn't, but I think also some people kind of forget what the world looked like when COVID was happening. But these subsidies have been around since COVID, and they have been extended every year since COVID. So they were actually extended last year, and they were set to expire. And every year they're set to expire, and then they're normally extended. For this particular time, Republicans said that they would not extend it after the third year that they have been in effect. So the Democrats were holding off to see if they could kind of put pressure on the Republicans to be able to extend it. Republicans did not, and I think 8 Democrats ended up siding with the Republicans so they can get the 60 vote threshold to be able to open up the government. So a little bit about what that means. So if you're anyone who does get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, through Obamacare, or what I didn't know is that some states offer health insurance that is under the ACA, but it's called something different. Because of the racism that's involved with it being called Obamacare and being called ACA, they had to change the name of it so people would even use it, which is horrible, and also stupid on those folks not even knowing that it's still the ACA.
It's helping you, right?
So what that means for the folks who are in the ACA marketplace, it means that without these subsidies, their health insurance premiums are gonna go up. And it's unfortunate for those folks because they are folks who need it the most. They're people, they're small business owners, they're people who have limited income, and it gives everyone, some entry way into the health insurance marketplace. And most people don't remember, but before the ACA, people just did not have insurance. Like they just was like, fuck it. I get sick, I go to the hospital. And, that creates just more strain on the system because now someone has to pay for that, for that hospital visit, and we ain't paying out of pocket. So, the less people that you have insured, the more people that are going to go to hospitals to get service. And, they're not actually paying. So they're not paying out of pocket, which means there's going to be some type of reimbursement, through the insurance company. So although the ACA subsidy doesn't affect individual people, because of this, because people are going to now be taking themselves out of the marketplace, that makes it so now the insurance companies are going to end up raising premiums across the board because now you have less, and the reason why is because you have less people that have insurance, but you're never going to have less people that are getting sick. So now and I believe, and I mean, you might can speak on this too, B, but I believe that getting people out of the marketplace is the goal of the Republicans. I mean, I think I might have mentioned that last week. I think because Republicans, and more so Donald Trump, just hates Obamacare. So if I can not fund it, because we see that that's a tactic that the Republicans and Donald Trump have used this year. Let me take away the funding. I don't have to explicitly shut something down. I just won't approve of the funding. And it will naturally be shut down because now it's no money, it's no funding. And I think that it's a tactic just to get people off of Obamacare. The bad thing is that there's no real alternative. And you have Trump says it's going to be a plan every 2 weeks. It's never a plan. It's still no plan. So even if these people are kicked off or they elect not to use it, what's the plan to get these people health insurance moving forward? So the Democrats did get a wink and a promise that the ACA subsidies would be brought to the House for a vote. And if you can see B's face, how much confidence just any normal person has that this is going to ever come to a vote. It just doesn't. It would be the first time in a long time that the Republicans have kept their word.
It's not happening.
Yeah, the only good thing politically that can come from this, and it's bad across the board, but the only good thing politically that can come from this is it should reveal it should be very clear how the Republicans feel about Americans and their health insurance premiums. If they do not extend this, then that's all you need to know about how they feel about healthcare premiums. So, like I said, the Democrats, they were supposed to get some type of vote. They said within 6 weeks. I wouldn't hold my breath, but unfortunately, if they don't, folks' premiums are going to be going up, and that's across the board.
Now, when you say going up, do you have like by how much?
I mean, so the reports are saying it can go from 20% to 200%. And it's going to really kind of depend. And like, it's not that it's complicated. It's just that there's so many different like jobs that subsidize their health coverage also. So you may be paying $200 a paycheck, but your job most likely is paying a portion of that too.
Right.
So it can fluctuate, and that's why it's kind of as of right now it's in the air. But the reports say from 20% to 200% increase, and some of the numbers that people have been saying have just been like ridiculous. I mean, people talking about going from paying a couple of $100s to paying thousands, and like who can realistically pay that? But then you have someone like real quick, you'll have Donald Trump say something like he's going to send everybody, $2,000. What's that going to do? That wouldn't even be able to pay your health insurance for a couple of months, if that was the case. But I'm still waiting on my Donald Trump stimulus check. You still waiting on yours?
Yeah, keep waiting for that. That's definitely not. I don't want to say definitely not, but I empty promises is what I believe what that is.
Yeah. Go ahead, babe.
Real quick, I just want to say that a quick read on CNN says that the Affordable Care Act policy would have the premiums go up $1,380 from $862.
That's a grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a grip for presumably the same coverage that you had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. This is just health insurance. This is not your whole benefits package. So we're not talking about your 401k, your life insurance, all of those other benefits. We're talking about just health insurance. So the same insurance that you had last year is now could possibly be $500 more. I mean, most people will just elect, unfortunately, not to have insurance.
Not to have insurance, right? And just try
to wing it. Yeah, so it's just horrible. Couple other things. We got Epstein files.
We did.
Have been released, and that was one of the. There was a House of Representative member from Arizona who was the deciding vote in the House to be able to release some Epstein files, and these Epstein files were from the Epstein estate. So
Mm.
to give people a little bit of background, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was a disgraced financier, uh, child, sex. I don't know if we might be able
Trafficker.
to say that, but
Right.
sex trafficker. And he's been linked really from the beginning to Donald Trump because of his friendship with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And there initially was a lot of call from MAGA to be able to release these Epstein files because there was this notion that it was a whole bunch of Democrats and people that MAGA hated that was going to be on this list. And now that this list is not this list, but now that these files are you know are in everybody's grasp now,
Hmm.
Republicans and Trump is like, well, it's nothing there. And we see that there's plenty there. So one of the emails alleged that Trump, and this is from Epstein to either himself, his lawyer, or his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell,
Elaine. Yeah.
different conversations about just his relationship with Trump, how much Trump knows about some of his actions, and in one particular email, it says that Trump knew about the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so very bad um, politically for Trump right now because he looks so guilty. If there's nothing there, then you would simply say, release everything. I have nothing to hide. But
Yeah.
the more Trump and the administration talks about this and tries to kill this story and try to spin it, try to shut it down, the more it appears that there's something there. And
Yeah.
what's actually and I will say this: I mean, if I had to have my guess, I would say that Trump was involved. And the reason why I'll say that is because look at Trump's behavior. We're talking about he's been accused of the R word. I think at least 32 times. He's been convicted civilly of sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll.
Hmm.
He's talked about grabbing them by the you know what. He's
Hmm.
been on the Howard Stern show talking about he can walk into the Miss America pageant, walk into the locker rooms, looking at some of the women, like his whole behavior and his behavior towards women. If I had to guess, I would say that he was either involved or he knew about what was going on, and creeps unfortunately protect other creeps. So we don't know where this story is going to go, but it looks like the Epstein files is finally gonna be released, and then we'll kind of see what the files tell us about the relationship and whether or not Trump had something going on or was complicit or um, just was involved in any particular way. But
Hmm.
just an interesting story and really an interesting kind of just spin in the sense of Trump was advocating while he was campaigning
Yeah.
that we needed to release these Epstein files, and either he did not know what was in the files, which seems ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Or he realized that whatever is in there, it's not going to look good for him. But it's
Or
yeah, but it's
he.
really at his own doing because he really could simply just say we was friends and then we wasn't, and I can't answer for the behavior of somebody that I was friends with years ago. Look at it however way y'all want, but the fact that he's so adamant about shutting it down, it just looks guilty. Go ahead, B.
Or he just used it as a tactic to get elected. That's what I think. I think he just maybe he knew he might have been mentioned, just said it, and just had a plan on blaming the Democrats and his base, um, just to get elected. And now he in there doing what he doing. Um, I say that because I saw something. The way he moves with as far as being a president and the things he does is just very baffling. It's not. I'm not used to any of it. I think I read something earlier this week, and it said that they estimated that since Trump has been reelected, he's stolen $3 billion from the government.
Yeah, that's
Like
crazy.
it. And I mentioned on a previous political perspective, like, I really feel like he don't care what's happening. He's just there to get money and cut funding and just take money from wherever he can for his own personal gain. So reading that story this week was pretty interesting, to say the least. What else you got? Oh, or
So
if you want to comment.
yeah, what do you think about a 50-year mortgage?
Oh my God. Yo, I'm so glad. I almost forgot to bring this up, but yeah, I'm
Right.
like,
So Trump is proposing a 50-year mortgage,
my goodness.
and uh, the average first-time home buyer in the United States is 40 years old.
40.
So a 50-year mortgage would mean that you are still paying for a house well into your 80s and close to your 90s, which most likely means that that debt is going to be passed on to your family, right? Just a ridiculous thing to even to even mention. But what do you think about this 50-year mortgage that Trump is proposing?
It's it's as you said, it's ridiculous a concept. Like, what age would you have to buy a house to want to pay off a 50-year mortgage? 18? Like,
Right.
you can retire at 60, what, 67 and a half, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um and it's racist to me, in the sense of, what's the average age of black life in this country? Like,
Yeah.
how long do we live?
Yeah. We're not even gonna
No
live
one's
enough
going to
to.
live long enough. Like, you can't, you buy a house at 18, 22. You buy a house at 22, right? And that's being very optimistic.
Yes.
Very optimistic. You buy a house at 22. On average, we don't live to 72. It's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. Absolutely.
That's that,
Absolutely.
this
So
can't be a thing. On, not to get off of the 50-year mortgages, I don't want to forget about the 15-year car loans too. That's up there.
oh my God. So I'll give you in Trump's own words what this 50-year mortgage means. He says all it means is you pay less per month, you pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor, but I think it might help a little bit. That is your president. Just totally being oblivious and just unaware of how ridiculous that sounds.
Yeah,
Like and essentially you're essentially renting your whole life because you'll never
yeah,
see that, you'll never own that house.
never.
I mean, you'll never own that house. I mean, the bank is going to own that house and you're going to die and somebody else going to pay for it. So I mean, that mortgage is maybe for your kids. Like,
I really wish we could just unite as people on this, in this country, and revolt, because the way this is going is insane. 50-year mortgages, where the jobs are where they are now, the average age of a home buyer being 40, the way the salaries are going, the cost of living is not keeping up. The salaries
right,
aren't keeping up with the cost of living. The
right.
50-year mortgage is just like, it's the, we just dangling a carrot in front of you until you just die from it. Die. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a layup for the banks,
Yeah.
to keep you in debt. I mean, the interest on a 50-year mortgage, come on, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars
All right.
that the bank is going to see.
All right. That
Yeah,
five
so
hundred thousand dollar house is $3 million now. What are we talking about?
exactly.
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy James, aka Ralph's favorite. Now I know you're thinking to yourself, James, why am I not watching the video? Chill. We're gonna get to the video. But before we do that, I want to say on behalf of TBD, we appreciate you for taking the time out to watch this video. And we appreciate you for listening to the podcast. More importantly, we just appreciate you taking the time to be with us, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us today. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to first like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and then hit that notification bell so that way you're notified when we drop a new video. And remember, it's all TBD. Now let's go ahead and get back to that video.
So we, United States have blown up some more boats in the Caribbean.
How can they get away with this?
Yeah, blown up more boats in the Caribbean. But the story now is the UK has suspended some of its intelligence sharing with the United States because
yes, I did see this.
They essentially don't want to be complicit in the United States really breaking international law. International law says that no country no country controls the seas. Like no country controls the ocean.
Right.
So the United States is blowing up boats indiscriminately. The United Kingdom, the UK, has said enough is enough. So they're not sharing any of their intelligence with the United States. And the UK has through colonialism, unfortunately, they have Caribbean islands, and they have intelligence, and they are a partner with Jamaica. So they have a lot of stuff going on in the Caribbean. The United States gets a lot of their intelligence from there, but they're not going to be sharing any more intelligence with the United States because they just see this as just something that's just ridiculous. And for those who think that it makes sense to just blow up a boat in the middle of the ocean, that's just not how we are supposed to conduct ourselves as Americans and as the United States, which we are big enough and strong enough to blow anybody up. But with that power comes responsibility. And yes, everybody knows that the fentanyl is a problem. Fentanyl deaths are at an all-time high. They continue to go up. However, there's no fentanyl coming in from Venezuela, so it makes you wonder what's the reason. And I'm going to go back to to my host B explanation point. It always boils down to money.
Mm-hmm.
Always boils down to money. And if you don't know, Venezuela has, if I'm not mistaken, the number one or the most oil reserves in the world is in Venezuela. So let that sink in. And when you think about the Iraq War, and you think about our partnerships with people like Saudi Arabia, where we weren't in Iraq for no weapons of mass destruction. We found none, but we found a whole lot of gold bars and a whole lot of oil and just access to that market. Like I said, Venezuela has the number one oil reserves in the world. So is this really about quote unquote narco terrorists? The fentanyl is coming from China. It's coming from Mexico. Cocaine from Venezuela. It's not what people are dying from in the United States. So something to keep an eye on. Unfortunately, Venezuela doesn't really have much that they can do. They don't really have much they can do. I mean, and there's been talks about the United States actually going into war with Venezuela. We've circled a battleship, close to Venezuela. Why are we going to war with Venezuela? Like, come on, like, what are we doing? Like, knock it off. But yeah, that's something that we need to really pay attention to because a ground war with Venezuela is probably not going to be an easy thing. So we're talking about soldiers, boots on the ground, and then once again, the question you're going to have to ask is why? Like, why are we doing
what?
Yeah, exactly. Last thing I got, and this is maybe for James. James, can you pop in if you got a second? So James, what do you think about the Olympics may use genetic tests to keep trans athletes out of women's events? So according to the Times, the International Olympic Committee is expecting to announce a blanket ban on transgender women competing in women's Olympic sports. So the policy will include athletes with differences of sexual development, which covers conditions like Swyer syndrome. If you're not familiar with Swyer syndrome, it is a condition that you have a X, you have an X and a Y, but you present as a Y. So it's like you may see someone that has like really like a woman that may have really masculine features,
Right.
but her genetics are female or woman.
But she
So,
identifies as a man.
I mean, they can identify as what they want, but there is there is science behind it. But yeah, so the Olympics is going to start testing, doing DNA tests to make sure that there are no trans athletes in women's events.
So this will start with the next Olympics, Summer Olympics.
They're proposing it. The Olympic, the IOC, they create, and this is just one policy, but they create all of the policies on even things like doping and drug use and all of that stuff.
Right.
So this would just be an extension of it, but most likely this would affect the upcoming Olympics.
I think it's a great idea.
How do you talk about this? I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's a great idea.
Well, under Trump's administration, it doesn't surprise me, right?
Mm.
But I do think to level the playing field, if you were born a woman, I think you should be able to compete, of course, in women's sports. If you were not born a woman, if you were not born a woman, just with genetics, males we have a different makeup than women. So even with a male that has more estrogen versus testosterone, he is still a male and he still has advantages over women. So I was never one that felt that sports should be, blanket overall. Like if you identify as this, then you should be able to. I think women have an unfair advantage. Well, I'm sorry. I think people of a different gender have an unfair advantage, primarily men that are competing in women genetically born sports. So me personally, I think this is fair. It's tough because I'm thinking to myself, like, let's say, for instance, I just happen to identify as a woman and I've been an athlete my whole life. And whatever sport, let's say I was a gymnast or let's say I was a boxer. That's a perfect example. If I was a boxer, I would probably feel some type of way, but I would have to understand that it's not fair because I do have an advantage over a woman in most cases.
So
real quick, we'll get to see something take place actually December 28th. Tennis. So Arena Sabalenka, the world's #1 tennis player on the women's side, is playing an exhibition match against Nick Kyrgios, who is currently ranked 652 in the world on the men's side. He only played in 6 matches in the past 3 years with injuries. They're playing an exhibition match on December 28th, and I think that will kind of illuminate the difference in physical makeup and the advantages.
Does he identify as a male?
He's a man. Nick Kyrgios is a man.
So last Olympics, Tokyo 2020.
That's why I brought it up.
It was the first Olympic Games that there was an openly transgender athlete, a New Zealand weightlifter. And out of thousands of athletes that competed in the world, there was only one. Just one. I think it's one of these issues that has more that people are passionate about, but don't even realize it's not really that much that's going on. Right. One athlete.
What about the boxer? Reggie?
She was a female. She was a woman.
Oh yeah, she was a female.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just a whole bunch of just
propaganda bullshit.
Yes, and deliberate misinformation just to attack. Right. And attack, that small group of people. But I thought, and I brought this up to kind of illuminate, like, I hope we can at some point get away from like these culture war, these culture war like debates and energy. When you see that was only one Olympic athlete that was openly is like, and I mean, I guess I get it. I mean, people have fear of the unknown, right? They have fear of the unknown, and I'll give them that. So, I mean, I do think that there are some benefits to it. What I hope that we don't start having our kids getting DNA tests to be able to try out for spring football or whatever it could turn into. I do think we're going to be kind of shocked at what we're going to be shocked at what we don't see, because I think most people will probably think that because this is something that is talked about a lot and debated a lot, that it's like a big deal, and people are going to be shocked to realize that it's not. Yeah, it's not really that big.
Reggie, let me ask you a question. Could it also speak to, and I hate to compare the African American experience in the world, like post-slavery, to the LGBTQ struggle in the world. I mean, I because I feel like it's separate, and while there is some similarity in discrimination and treatment of people that are of an alternative lifestyle, it is not the same, in my opinion. Okay, but I say that to say, do you feel like people look at it like almost like how white people felt? Like, if we let one nigger in, that's going to open the floodgates for the rest of these niggas. So if we allow one male that identifies as a female to enter a sport with women solely, that could open the floodgates to now blur the lines, and now we'll have tons of, if you identify as a woman, you can go ahead and play women's basketball, or you can be a boxer or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's could be a legitimate fear. Yeah, I mean, it could be. But I think I don't even really think it's that, James. What I believe it is. I believe that most people, unfortunately, have to have someone to kick. They just have to have someone to beat down, someone to be
regardless of, yeah.
Right. I think that if you look at say Black people, Jewish people, like, I mean, people that have historically been discriminated against can now be discriminating against people themselves. And I think that there is an unfortunate thread in humanity where people kind of look for someone to kind of be beneath them. And I think it's more of that.
That's America too.
Yeah, it really is. I think it's more of that than some type of purity test for sports. I mean, I think it's more of just a hate and a hatred of the other, and there's always going to be the other, right? But I think that's more what it's. I think that's more of it than we think that the floodgates is about to start with trans athletes. I mean, the percentage of people that are transgender is low in itself, and the percentage of it's very low. I mean, if we talk about transgender, not LGBTQ, we're talking about
the reason why I say that is because I'm 48, so I'm talking about like the 80s, right? the term was transvestite
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and it was a small number. But I just assumed that these days there's a much larger group because now it's transgender. It's not just so like if you are a man and you identify as a woman, that's transgender. If you are transitioning, you're transgender. So it adds to that group. And I just
So
assume that it was more these days than before.
so 1% of the population is transgender.
Wow. And what is that definition of transgender, Reggie, for that 1%? Is it just like someone that identifies as? Does that also include someone that is transitioning from, a man to a woman?
Yeah, so it encompasses. I'm reading it right now. It encompasses all transgender groups. So males
Okay.
transition to females, females trans, or someone that hasn't went through any type of
Surgery.
change, but just identifies as a
Okay.
different sex. It's actually 0.08% of the population.
Wow.
I mean, and I think that kind of like, and B kind of alluded to this about Trump. Like sometimes they create these battles that we end up fighting with each other, and then you realize that it's not really, and you think that it's more than what it is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and the amount is about 2.8 million people, but 1% of Americans is not even worldwide. And I'm sure worldwide it's probably less. I mean, I don't know transgenders and I don't know the
Right.
different population groups all across the world, but 1%, less than 1% of Americans identify as transgender.
There's so many conversations
Yeah.
within this topic.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
But
We got
me,
Thursday night football, so
I won't go there.
yeah.
Reggie, go ahead and
Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to thank you, James, for jumping in. I know I kind of joke about that, but you actually brought some really good perspective to the conversation, and I definitely appreciate
I
it.
do appreciate that you two do it. And I like the banter and the back and forth between you two and the dialogue. I love that. That's why I allow you guys to do it. But I actually appreciate you having this topic, pulling me in, and me being able to voice my opinion. But before we close it out, because you're right, it's Thursday night football. We're running a little bit over. I just wanted to bring up in news that is not in my neighborhood. Did you know that currently Starbucks is on strike?
I peeped that.
Okay.
I know.
So today, more than 1,000 unionized Starbucks workers across 64 stores in over 40 U.S. cities walked off the job. Now, the timing is strategic because the strike coincides with Starbucks' annual Red Cup Day, apparently one of the chain's biggest promotionally holiday sale days where they give out these red cups, so on and so forth, right? So the union is organizing a strike in Starbucks Workers United, SWU. They call on action on unfair labor practices, and the strike is labeled as the Red Cup Rebellion. I just, as you were doing a political perspective, I just happened to see this like it came as one of my notifications. So I said, let me look at it and bring this up before we go out. Now, the union states their demands are fair first collective bargaining agreement with Starbucks covering wages, hours, staffing levels, and scheduling benefits. Resolution of alleged unfair labor practices by Starbucks, improved working conditions, better staffing, so that the stores are consistently overrun, shit that we would normally. Starbucks is countered with they say they already offer an average pay of over $30 an hour. Shit, I need one of them. For hourly partners, baristas, and a benefits package. And they say the union represents only a small fraction of their workplace, around 4%, and that most stores remain unaffected by the strike. The one thing I want to point out is that while the 65 stores that are striking initially, the union is saying this is an open-ended type of strike. So that means there's no end date, and it could expand to more locations, including 550 unionized stores. Reggie, of course, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts, but I wanted you to be able to speak to it from a standpoint of being involved in firsthand seeing a unionized workers striking against the institution, and
Yeah.
how
So the country was built on striking workers, and I think that is the only tools and mechanisms that people have to be able to get what they consider fair. Now, what you consider fair, management might not consider fair. I mean, however, you are the workers, so
Right.
you do have some power, and that's the only power that you have is to unionize and possibly strike. What I will say is that striking workers, that's a difficult ask. It's a difficult ask, and for folks to not go to work, to not get paid, or to be paid a percentage of their normal salary. That's a lot to ask for people who are, living check to check in this world that we live in. So the hope is that they have a strong union, and the hope is that they have prepared for this. And I think the problem is it's very difficult to prepare for a union to prepare their population for a strike. It's very difficult because we're talking about, they need to be garnishing extra money to be able to pay, to pay for, yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, what we've seen with a lot of bargaining units. I mean, in the city, we saw the sanitation workers. It's going to be very difficult to really force the company to really submit to your demands. I mean, and I think that hopefully they can get some of it, but we even see with the sanitation workers, they got nothing. They got
Reggie,
the same contract that
the
we want to
strike.
take.
The strike that I don't remember if it went to a strike when we were in the hospital, but I remember there was, they were getting themselves together with the union.
Mm-hmm.
Did that end with the union winning per se, or did the hospital just shut all that down?
So the union is kind of always going to win. And I say the union separate from the workers, right? Because the union's job is to get unionized, to get a bargaining unit. And now, we get dues, we got funds coming in, we can do all kinds of stuff. So the union, when you have the union is trying to get into a place, they're most likely always going to get there. Mm-hmm. Because they don't have, so you only have to have like 51% of the working population to even have a union. And you could have half the population could be like, I don't want this. And guess what? If it is majority rules, so half the population could be forced to be in a union, forced to pay union dues. I personally, I don't really think there's ever any winners when workers go on strike. I mean, I think that there was years ago, but now I think it's so much money that I think these companies, they feel like they can wait it out. I mean, I think the city was a little different because the city unfortunately doesn't make money, so it's like, where do you get the money from if you're a city? Like, cities don't produce money. They have taxes, they real estate tax, things like that, but cities don't really produce money. So I mean, like I said, I just wish those workers luck. We say, James,
parking tickets.
That's state.
Correct.
That's state.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, that's state. Like the city, like taxes. I mean, cities have problems. Like cities have problems. Like, one of the biggest problems with cities, and I don't want to go on a tangent. One of the biggest problem with cities is that they pay for workers that don't work. So back in the day when people was getting those sweetheart pension deals and all of that, where you get the pension, you die, your spouse has your pension. Like, so cities end up paying more money for people that aren't working. Yeah, they pay more for those people than people are actually working. So cities are kind of set up to kind of be bankrupt, and that's why you don't see pensions anymore. You see 401ks because it's pretty much they were just giving away money, and a large portion of their budget was going to people that weren't working. So, I mean, cities are broke. It's just unfortunately all of them are broke. But you got to fight for whatever you got. You got to fight for whatever you feel as though is fair. And I just wish the Starbucks folks. I mean, they $30 an hour. I need a part-time Starbucks job.
How about it?
Facts.
Shout out to them. Good luck to them.
If you are not political, you do not have a perspective.
Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.